Aloha and welcome back to the Wild Abundance Initiation. I am your host, Tara Moreleda, and today I am so excited to be interviewing Andrea Wochezen. She is an energetic business and income coach, and she has so much wisdom to share with us today. Andrea, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks. I'm so excited to be here and to connect with your audience and to share a little bit of maybe of a different perspective on what abundance is and how we can generate that into our experience.
Beautiful. And tell me a little bit about your work and what you're passionate about.
Sure, yeah, I'm so passionate about my work, as I think I know many of us are. But what I do is I help entrepreneurs who are ready to break through their income ceiling so we can get really stuck at one income ceiling. And I help them recode their energetic money blueprints so that they actually can create consistent income months and consistent growth income months, right? So we always want to, I believe we're all meant to be growing and expanding in all ways, and income is just a piece of that. And so I'm super passionate about helping, especially heart-centered entrepreneurs who have a big mission, a big why, to really sort of tap into their personal power, sense of self, and the value that they bring, so that that can translate for them into a greater income in their life and business.
Beautiful. And speak to me about this energetic blueprint. What is that?
Well, it's a combination of many things, right? And so we kind of have this wiring, and a lot of it has been really downloaded from maybe our earliest paradigms, maybe when we were children, throughout our lives. And it's there's so many ways, right? It can be stuff that we've heard sort of through our parents, it can be through media, it can be through friends. And so all of this is sort of wired, our upbringing, our experiences. And so this sort of lays this foundational blueprint that we have, and so for some people, it may be serving them well. And for other people, we want to tweak it a little bit. And that's possible to do, right? So that it lines up a little bit more congruently with what you actually want to bring into your experience. And so, yeah, it's really about getting all of your beliefs, your internal dialogue, your vibration, right? All of that to be congruent with what it is that you want to bring into your experience. Because if it's not congruent, then it's going to be a mismatch.
Yeah, yeah. So how can we bring awareness to our energetic blueprint?
Well, I think, I mean, I talk a lot about money blocks, and that's just an easy way to say things. But really, money blocks okay, we can look at our bank account, and if we don't have what we want, that's a pretty clear indication that we're not where we want to be. So that's a really easy, obvious one. But for a lot of people, and most people I find, which impacts that bottom line, it's really this. Just notice for yourself if you're having a hard time promoting yourself, around telling people about what you do, making a sale, making an ask, charging the value of the work that you do, having feast or famine months in your business, right? These are just some symptoms, right? Really, that are the root is that sort of blueprint that we want to shift. And those are these outer things that yeah, the money for sure, but it's all these other pieces. If we're not out there embodying the value of what it is that we are here to do in the world, because that's money's just an exchange of energy, right? And so if you want more money, you exchange more energy, right? Or you give more value. And so we really have to be the embodiment of that value, for it to come back to us in terms of flow and currency. And so yeah, so I think it's just really noticing for yourself, right? Are you playing a little smaller than you want to be playing? Are you keeping yourself a little small? Is there some piece of you that feels like you're only allowed to have a certain amount in your experience? Or do you have kind of a push-pull relationship with money? I mean, there's so many things. I say to people all the time, I kind of feel bad for money because we dump a lot of crap on it. So that's not real, right? Money's really just neutral, right? And we are bringing all of these pieces. And so I would say that's the first thing to notice, right? Any of those sort of symptoms that I mentioned, if that's sort of showing up in your experience, then very likely there's a little bit of rejigging that needs to happen on an internal level.
Yeah, the rejigging. So I love that word. So to our listeners right now, um, some of what I maybe think that they're hearing is like the this is like an internal self-worth work. Like the shifting of like what we believe, what we're worthy of in order to get the results that we want. So how do we shift this self-worth, especially if somebody's like struggling with, okay, am I worthy of having more money? How do we shift that blueprint?
Yeah, I mean, so that's great that you said that. And I just want to highlight too the word self worth. Well, so first of all, we want to always separate that from net worth, but we do kind of tend to put it together. And I will say, you know, self worth is one of those funny things. Some people will be like, oh, yeah, I have some worthiness issues. But most people will not say that. Most people will be like, no, I'm good. I feel pretty confident in myself. And so that's where it's a little sneaky. And so that I think again is just to look, yeah, you may not think, you might be like, yeah, I'm awesome and I deserve this. And right, you might be feeling that. But again, it's these underlying things that are a little more subtle, right? That are kind of wired into you. And so it's definitely the first step is have this awareness without judgment of some of the things I mentioned, right? Are you not promoting yourself? Or you know what you should be doing, but you're not doing it? You have an opportunity to be on a big platform, all of a sudden you get sick, right? These are all sort of ways in which it's like subconscious, right? And so I think it's really starting to make the work I do is very subconscious, uncovering and clearing, but we can start to make the subconscious conscious, right? And so when you start to notice these things, really make them conscious in your mind. It's like, oh, right, I'm not actually I haven't raised my prices in 2 years, or I haven't, I keep turning down opportunities because I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to be on camera or whatever it is, right? And so I think it's really having that awareness is like step number one, right? And that's without judgment. It's just kind of like, okay, yeah, this is what's going on. And so this is what I need to shift. So that's the first thing that you would want to do. And I can keep going if you want, or I don't know if you want to ask something else.
Keep going. Yeah. So the first thing I'm hearing is having the awareness that, like, oh, I'm making myself small, or I'm not wanting to show up on these interviews or whatever the thing is, depending on people's work. So the very first step is to have the awareness. So once we have the awareness, what's the next way that we can shift?
So again, it's about, I'm so passionate about this, that inner work, you need to give it some time, right? So a lot of times people are like, oh, okay, I'll do a couple of affirmations, or I'll be like, yeah, I'll just flip this negative thought and put it into a positive thought. And I'm like a law of attraction coach, so I totally get all of that whole piece. But we actually have to spend a bit of time to unpack a little bit, right? This doesn't have to be tedious and like long term. And right, people in my work, they will shift. We go deep fast and we'll move through things really quickly, but you got to go there and you actually have to give it some time, right? And so, or focus, I would say. Time, not necessarily, but focus. It's like every day you get up and you do your marketing for your business. But do you get up and do this inner work, right, for yourself? And so I think really it's like, yeah, capture some of those beliefs that are coming up, or just the noticings of like, what am I not doing? Or, I mean, I hear people say to me all the time, I feel blocked, I feel stuck, right? So if that is coming up for you, you know, you can obviously journal around it. One of the I do a lot of energy work, but one of the modalities I do use is tapping. And so that's a really great way to get this stuff out of your nervous system, as well as your brain. So I'm a big fan that we're not just our head, but we're not just our brain. We actually manifest and create through all of our systems, right? We're multifaceted beings. And so we really need to work on all levels, right? So we can hold a lot of stuff in our body, in our nervous system, in our mind. And so I think there's there's a lot of different ways, but it's about spending some time and making that actually valuable, right? And so a lot of times our ego will be like, I don't have time for that. I don't think it's that important. But I can guarantee you it is. So yeah, once you can shift some of this inner stuff, you're going to start to see great things flowing on the other side, right? But you do have to put in some time and focus.
Wow. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is the very first step is, okay, having the awareness around the block or feeling small, and then taking some time to integrate this work. And I love this because oftentimes we'll realize something. We're going to be like, oh, I have this block. And then we want to like change it right away as if we're something to fix. So I really, really love this advice that you're giving. It's like, oh, just allow yourself to slowly unravel this, right?
Mm,
And
yeah.
is there any like specific times in your life or like any cool stories that you have around working through this yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I've got a couple. So Yeah, one of the things in my work is my biggest passion, probably because it's my biggest journey, is this vow to be invisible. And so I have a couple of stories, but the one that really sticks in my head was, I was in grade 6, and I actually was very shiny. I was really standing out, and I was, winning awards and this kind of thing. I appreciated them, but I didn't really think a ton about it. But I was like, oh, awesome, that's great. And so I remember the second last day of school, I had won some nice awards, and I was proud of myself and happy. And then the next day, a couple of usually two friends came to walk with me to school, but the next day only one of them came. And I said, where's the other one? And she's like, oh, she doesn't want to walk with you because she thinks you think you're so great. And I remember it felt like a massive, and it's hilarious. I'm not hilarious, but I can't believe I've done so much work. But every time I say this story, I can literally feel it like in my solar plexus. And so, yeah, it was like really a punch to the gut. And I remember, like, obviously I wouldn't have put the language of vow to be invisible on then, but I remember thinking, okay, and I was going to a new school for grade 7. It's like, you can't stand out or people aren't going to like you, right? And so I went to the new school and just always like deflected this being the center of attention, deflected compliments. Yeah, it was just, I always kind of like the spotlight was here and I just stood a little bit to the side of that, right? And I let someone else be in the spotlight. And I do love that. That's actually part of my mission, I think, is to support others to be in the spotlight. But that was out of a fear of, yeah, or taking this vow to really keep myself small. And so it wasn't until years later, it was like years of this kind of diminishing myself just subtly and not being as big as I could be. And that obviously translated into business as well, right? Of course, as you're kind of keeping yourself a little smaller, letting someone else go for, right, all of those kinds of things, that doesn't bode well for business success. And so my journey was really slow for a while. And then I started to really get this. And so now, obviously, I've done lots of work, especially through the very specific kind of work I do on myself. And so that has allowed me to stand out and show up in much bigger ways. And I will say it's continual work for me. So that's my truth. That's my story. And I didn't share it for a long time because I'm like, oh, it's not that, it's that kind of story. I'm like, it wasn't like I was bullied or picked on or wasn't that kind, right? And I just thought, it felt like I didn't know how to tell that story of like, oh, I was great. And then right? So it's a hard story to tell. And so, yeah, it really took me just in the past few years, really standing in that and owning that in fact is my truth. And it has kept me small. And so I really understand that journey with other people as well because I've been through it.
Right. I feel so many of us can relate to this story of like, it's bad to be in the spotlight. It's bad to make a lot of money. If I'm big or great, that's greedy. Is this a
Mm.
conversation that you often hear with your clients, or it sounds like it's something that you've experienced yourself?
It's fine. The greedy doesn't come up a lot in my world. I guess it depends on who you're working with, right? But on some level, sure, it's underneath there. I don't hear that word a lot. Maybe people just don't even want to say it, but it is this keeping themselves small. And a lot of times they don't even know why they're doing it, right? And so, yeah, it's kind of like, don't toot your own horn, don't stay, right? Don't be too bright. And so, yeah, I feel like as I've shared my story, actually, it's resonated so much with people. And so, and that's why I continue to share it because I know there are so many people who've had some of the similar experience that's kind of diminished them or kept them a little smaller. And I really believe that we're meant to be, the biggest version of ourselves that we can possibly be.
Mhm, mhm. Absolutely. I'm so with that. I want everybody to be the biggest, best version that they can possibly be. So, if someone is coming to you and this is exactly why people come to you and the work that you do and they're like, "I want to make a ton of money," right? Is this something yeah, people are like, "I want to make a ton of money." Um, but they don't know how. Is that, like, something that you deal with? Like, I wanna make a ton of money, I know that I'm passionate, but I don't know how to make that money.
I would say for me, it's actually, there's a piece of that, but because I do mainly inner work, I tend to work with people who are sort of on the path and just have this block from getting to the next level. I do work with some newer people, and I maybe will mix in some strategy, but it's not the how for me. It's more like I'm helping people get rid of the blocks for them to actually do the things that they know they need to do, right? And so, because basically business and income growth is, yeah, get clear on what your offering is, your business model, all of that. Absolutely, you need to have that. Your market, right? And then your marketing channels, you need to have those things in place. And then you basically just need to show up and tell people what you do, right? And so that's really where, yeah, I may help people align their business model or really find a marketing strategy that works in alignment, right? I think we're probably on the same page with that. I do a lot of soul work with people to really make sure it feels like the truth for them. And then it's about, yeah, getting the crap out of the way so that you actually can stand up and stand out and really show what you have. And then that's when the income, the opportunities, and it's all connected, right? It's not like money just drops from the sky, right? It's like you show up bigger, you have more opportunities, people are drawn to you, become magnetic, right? Because you've released a lot of this stuff, you've brought in some real clear, new, empowering sort of, I'm going to call pleasure pathways, right? That allow you to really tap into the gifts that you have to share and the power that you have within you. And then once you're doing that, you just become magnetic, and then money does flow to you, right? I don't think growing a business is easy, but there can be an ease to it. And so that's really, I think, the work that I help people do is to develop some ease and flow and momentum in their businesses. So
Yeah. Oh, and I haven't asked you the age-old question that we usually start with in this entire series is, what is abundance to you?
yeah, I think for me, it's a freedom always comes up, right? I think I'm like, I don't like to be told what to do. I don't like to be boxed in. I like to live my own life. I like to create my own schedule. So I think for me, abundance is being able to do what I love in the world, being able to support people in meaningful work that needs to be really meaningful for me. My income needs to be meaningful, right? And so it has to be working with people to support them and up leveling themselves. It allows me the freedom to yeah, enjoy my life, enjoy my friends, enjoy my family, travel, drink nice wines, right? I think it's really this, I know people say the word balance, but I'm so about that for myself. Like I do not do well if I don't have that balance and flow in my life in general. And so I think for me, abundance is just the freedom to create my life and my business the way I want to. And so I feel very fortunate to be on that path, right? And be doing that and then being able to support other people and doing the same thing. Because I don't think there's anything better than that, right? Just waking up, doing what you love, having a schedule that you like, being able to do nice things, to share with friends and family, and yeah, just have the biggest life experience that you want to have, whatever that is for you.
Yeah. And I feel so much clarity in you right now of like what abundance is, and you're fully embodying it and you're doing your life's work. And has like, I want to dive into like a moment where it wasn't like that, where you're like, what is it that I'm doing? How can I make the impact and the income that I desire? Was there a clear moment like that for you in your life?
Well, I'm going to say I was a teacher, and then since I quit teaching, so I was a teacher, it wasn't the right fit for me. I was like, there's got to be something else I can do with the gifts and skills that I have. And so I knew that that was like a real, like, I quit, which is not a super common thing in the teaching world. So that was pretty powerful because I just knew internally that this is not the path for me. I didn't know what the heck I was going to do. And so I did some exploration. I became a movement educator, did Reiki, did a whole bunch of different things to really find my path. And so for me, it's really been a journey. And then, of course, the beginning stages of the journey were a little uphill, right? They're a little bit of a push around, okay, now I found what I want to do. I love it. And now how do I make money, right? And so I think that's just been yeah, I guess what I would say for me, and just to share this piece, is that it is a journey, I think, right? We continually step into this, we continually up level ourselves, we shift our beliefs and our mindset, and then more and more flows to us. And so, for sure, I'm sure there are moments where I was like, I don't know if this entrepreneur thing is the thing for me. I know there were moments of like, I don't know if this is what I was supposed to be doing, right? Because it's not always easy, right? When you first start out. But when you have that drive or the purpose that's pulling you forward, and then you continually work on yourself and your mindset and your beliefs, and you get excellent coaching and business strategy and all of those things, it's inevitable that you're going to reach success, right? So I I'm really real with people. So people can move really quickly, and you can also move at your own pace, right? There isn't, to me, I don't think there's a magic pill or a quick fix, or there are no overnight successes, as they say, right? It's like you've put in your time, you put in the energy, and yeah, it just depends where you are in the journey, how quickly that comes to you. So I think I can relate, I think, to a lot of people's journey where they're like, I'm tired of this, right? I want to, I want to shift something. I know something's blocking me, and I want to get to that next level. I'm ready. So I really do understand that.
Totally. And I got one last question for you. What is the biggest inner problem that your clients come to you with? Like, what's their biggest block most of the time?
I think it's belief in themselves and what they're capable of, right? And so, there's a lot of like, oh, set a goal, and here, do, right? And so people will do that, but they're like, either it's way far beyond what they believe, they're so disconnected from it, or it's too small, right? And so it's about kind of, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. They don't believe that they can really get where they want to go. And the bottom line is, I was just doing a post the other day, we don't manifest what we want, we manifest what we believe. And so I think it's really getting that alignment and that belief work within yourself, right? And so, yeah, I just think it's I feel like everybody has a little bit more of that to grow. Like I see it all the time. I work with, beginning, mid, and high level entrepreneurs, right? And every time we push our next level, there's a little more stuff that comes up, right? Around, are we allowed to have this? Are we capable of achieving this? Right? Or what's going to happen on the other side when I get what I think I want, right? And so, but yeah, as an overall, it is that belief in themselves, right? Do I really believe that I have what it takes, that I can do this, that I'm allowed to have this, that it's possible for me?
Mm, beautiful, beautiful. Andra, thank you so much. You've shed so much wisdom around what it means to shift and go into the next level. My biggest takeaway personally was realizing that once you have the realization, being able to allow yourself to go slow and unwind and unpack all of the stories and the belief systems that prevent you from getting to the next level. And I'm so curious, how can we find you, find your work? And I'd also love to hear a bit about this free gift that you're offering.
I was just going to add one little thing that to what you just said, that idea of unpacking, and just really, I just want to add that piece of like unpack and then go, right? So it's like we unpack a little bit, then we step forward, then we unpack a bit more and we step forward, so that it's not like, oh, I just have to like unpack all of this and then I can take action, right? So I'm not saying you were saying that, but I just think it's so powerful for people. It's like, yeah, I cleared a little bit of this and now I'm going to step into a new action, right? And then that new action brings up new things to sort of unpack a little bit, and then we continue to step forward. So it's about releasing and then expanding. And so, yeah, I just wanted to add that piece to that. Yeah, my website is awakenyourinspiration.com, and my Instagram is at awakenyourinspiration. And it's a free e-course on clearing your money blocks. And if you go to the website, you'll see the opportunity to sign up for that. It's a 4-week, not sorry, 4-week, 4 video module that actually walks you through what money blocks are, how they show up for you. It's very, it's guided, but it's also, there's PDFs for you to do. So you can actually, to me, I'm all about just implementation, like not just learning stuff, apply it to yourself. So you can look at your limiting beliefs. I teach tapping as a clearing modality, even give you scripts and things like that. So it's pretty, what's the word, robust, I guess, maybe. There's quite a bit in there. So and it really is talking around income. But of course you can substitute that with other things, but most of the people I work with are entrepreneurs. So they're mainly interested in income growth. So I'd love to share that with you if it is appealing.
Wonderful. I know I want to dive into that. That is so valuable. Thank you so much again for being a part of this interview series. We are so grateful to have you here. And listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. And I can't wait to see you all in the next interview. Aloha.